Hello, my name is Samantha Richardson, and I'm a student at Thomas University, and I major in criminal justice. And today we will be talking about childhood and delinquency. But before we get into the meat and potatoes in reference to this presentation, I'm going to give you an overview in reference to what we'll be talking about today. First, we will define key terms such as juvenile delinquency, status offender, parente, and cyberbullying. We also discuss a lot of problems or a lot of issues with our youth that we deal with on a daily basis. Next, we will talk about the juvenile justice program and how it has evolved from where it used to be. And it didn't used to be a program for juveniles, if you didn't know. Fun fact. Lastly, we will discuss different status offenses that are committed by juveniles. So let's jump right into it. What is juvenile delinquency? Juvenile delinquency, in reference to Webster, is a viewpoint that encourages the state to take control of wayward children and provide care, custody, treatment to remedy delinquent behavior. Okay, that's Webster. Let me sum it up for you. Juvenile delinquency is basically something that a juvenile does competitively and continues to keep doing. It's a range of different things, whether it be crimes or whether it be an act out in reference to behavior. That is basically what that means, to sum it up for you and make it a lot easier for you to understand. Next, status offender. What is a status offender? Webster's term is a child who is subject to state authority by reason of having committed an act forbidden to youth and illegally solely by the child is underage. Lamer terms, what a status offender is basically a child that can commit a crime that if committed by an adult, it would not be a crime. Did I confuse you? Okay. Adult cannot get charged with runaway or truancy. That's only an offense that a child, juvenile, can get charged with. We'll discuss later on in the presentation. Cyberbullying. Webster's definition, and I keep giving you Webster's definition of these key terms because, like I said, that is what's listed. But like I said, I also have my personal views and perspectives on what they are, and to help people that are not with all of the extra keywords in the definitions. So basically, I'm going to make it a little simpler for you. But Webster said, willfully and repeatedly harm inflicted through the medium of electric text. Cyberbullying can go anywhere from Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, all of these different social media sites, to the point where one person is bullying another person or harassing another person or demeaning or defacing another person's character through means of the internet or social media. That's cyberbullying. The last one is the parenting. And what Webster said is the power of the state to act on behalf of the child and provide care. At the end of the day, to sum that up for you, all it is the Department of Family and Child Services, DFACS. That's where they do. That's where they come in at. That's the position and the role that they play in reference to children that cannot help themselves and need to be removed from a family when it's not good for that child. So let's move right along. Let's talk about some things that affect our youth, problems that we have with our youth. Poverty, we'll start off with that one. That would be a major one. Poverty is so important in reference to our neighborhoods, especially in reference to a lot of neighborhoods that you have a lot of majority Hispanics or blacks or minorities. In one neighborhood, you're going to experience poverty in that neighborhood. It has been estimated or said now that between 14 and 16 million children deal with poverty on a daily basis. Not because they asked to, because they don't have any other choice. A child, like I said, a child can only do what they can do. It's up to that parent or up to that adult that is supervising that child to help that child and put that child on the path in which they should go. Most income in a lot of environments that are poverty-ridden are around the ranges of $24,000. I can tell you now, $24,000 living on that type of salary a year, you're not going to be able to do much with that. You're barely going to be able to survive, especially in the United States. But it also depends on, in reference to what state that you live in. Currently, in Georgia, $24,000, you're not going to be able to live on that at all. Another factor that affects our youth is parental separation and divorce. Let's talk about that. When parents divorce from each other, when parents separate from each other, especially when kids are, they have gotten used to seeing both their parents together, so it feels so much more like a family, and then one day, boom, that is separated. That is in one of the highest rates in the United States and also globally in reference to separation. Divorce is another factor that contributes to that. Children undergo different underlying issues, whether it be mental, psychological, physical, all these different type of emotions they deal with when parents decide to separate or they decide to avoid divorce. So the main thing is for children to get and seek immediate counseling, or you can go as a family, which I think will be even better for that child. Okay, another topic that hurts our community is the foster care. According to data, almost 3 million children are currently in foster care. When you think about foster care, it's a sad situation. It's a sad situation, but it has to be done if that is the only alternative left for that child. 50% of the children that are abandoned, or I guess you can label them foster children, they live with their grandparents. What's the number one thing or the number one person that parents tend to go to when they feel as though they have something going on or they're in bad shape? They're going to go to their mother, their father, or their mother-in-law, their father-in-law. They're going to go to somebody that they know, somebody that they trust with their children. And that's why that rate is so high. And children tend to grow up with their grandparents because grandparents raised them. It's also been researched and also statistically said that children that go through foster care go through so many different type of life cycles. They go through so many type of mental, physiological, psychological issues, behavior issues, to the point where when they get older, it catches up with them because they went through so much trauma as a child. And I'll tell you, not being able to have somebody there to talk to, it'll take a toll on you. Child abuse and neglect, we see that all day, every day. We deal with that. The Department of Family and Children Services, they have to undergo different cases, thousands of cases a day in reference to neglect. I will say some people basically report different things out of spite. And it's sad because the children that actually need help, the children that are actually being abused in the United States, they can't get the help that they need because of other workers or other employers trying to deal with these issues that has no merit to it. But the children that need help, they can't get help. And by the time help comes, it's too late. That's something I've seen firsthand. But in reference to child abuse and neglect, the number one persons, I guess you could say, that come into play is relatives. Relatives are there to pick up the slack. You know, and I would like to say that's the right thing to do. This is a family, this is somebody, a part of your family. Why would I let them go out into the world with strangers when I can take them in and show them what's right and what's wrong? It's a moral decision. Not a lot of people agree. So I will say today, we basically discussed childhood and different delinquency factors that contribute to, I guess you could say, a lot of crime. A lot of crime, attitude, personalities, characteristics. All of these things come into play. It does. A lot of people like to assume that poverty doesn't play a huge part in a child's upbringing, but it does. Because if you're surrounded by a society that is negative, you're gonna receive so much negativity. You probably receive 10% positivity out of that negativity. Some children make it out, some others they don't. And majority of them don't. They have no leadership, they have no mentorship. They don't have anywhere to go from that. So that's why I chose to basically talk about this, to basically raise awareness in reference to an issue that is also going on with our community today. We need to be more hands-on with our youth. We need to shelter them more, educate them more, love on them more, mentor them more, be there more for them. Because even if you can't save the entire world, you can save one. And if you can save one, you can save two.